So here we are at the old Waldron store, an 1858 building in Stratford, New Hampshire. We're going to do a little quick walk around the outside and then maybe look inside too. This was built as a mercantile building, and it has a variety of windows and doors in it for different purposes. One to a store that was run on one side, and one to kind of a farm and supply store on the other side, feed and whatnot. Off the side of the building to the west, there's a pretty simple porch. On the side, this is where the store was, probably the primary entry to the store in the day, and it's kind of easy to imagine some colorful activities happening here. The porch today, kind of vacant, but still big windows, entry door into the store, and something upstairs. To meet with modern egress codes, a metal staircase was built so that it could be two means of egress from the second floor, because there's a meeting room there. We'll take a look at it in just a minute. Pretty exciting. Here we are in the part of the building that was the store. It's currently being used as a meeting room. Lots of light, open floor for chairs and whatnot, the local congregation. A couple of old posts, round wooden posts. Pretty nice. Large open floor joists with all kinds of marks on them from things that they once were, partitions built, shelving constructed. All in all, pretty good condition. Carrying beam down the center. Everything cogged joints. Nothing seems to be split. So here we are. This is the meeting room. The lighting's a little tacky, I understand, but this is still such a grand space. Remembering that back in the day, a little teeny community like Stratford would have a hard time supporting a separate building for every activity, and so the idea of a store on one floor and a performance space on the second floor, pretty exciting for a little community. Love the vaulted ceiling. A lot of work went into that. And then a great platform. This is the stage. One can imagine this with bunting all around it. Candles standing in front and people orating or doing something Shakespearean. To me, the floor is a fascinating bit of story. In a time before there was vacuum cleaners, you in a public space had to live with all of the grit that came on people's feet and the wear that it evoked on the floor. You can see areas where there must have been something that people were walking around, a table or something, and an excessive amount of wear, and the knots standing proud because they didn't wear as much as the flooring around it. This floor sat for a long time without paint on it at all, I'm sure. But it's in relatively good condition. Couple of little patches here and there. Here's an intriguing one. Here's an intriguing patch for me, is that little piece of wood driven in there. It probably has been there since that floor was laid. The nails at the end look just like the nails in the floor. And it was a bad edge on a board that someone otherwise wanted to use, and so they carved a little piece of wood to fit into that spot and kept on flooring. Frugal. I like frugal. Currently we're missing the elements to our heating system. I'm going to guess that it froze at some point, and part of the reason that I'm here is to try to figure out what to do with it. One of the constantly entertaining pieces of this story are the windows. The windows have a variety of little flaws in the glass. You can see that one right there. They have windows that are Greek Revival windows on one side and Georgian windows on the other. It's difficult to say for sure. I'd say that this window must have been in such bad shape that someone brought a window in from another building, because this doesn't at all date at the same period as this sash at all. But you can see that the sun bearing in has just eroded all of the wood around the top of this. It's been here for a long time. Anyway, the sashes are an interesting part of the story. For an old building, they got really, really lucky. This is currently being operated and owned by the Historic Society in town. And they not only have this lovely meeting space on the second floor, but they've got an official meets code staircase of 2 units of measure to get up and down on. Not to say they don't need a second means of egress, but this is a great staircase. They're very lucky. Quick run down into the cellar. This has a pretty nice cellar. There is a problem here though. There's a lot of humidity. I don't know if you get enough light down here to see much of this, but it's very humid here. And the original floor joist and subflooring is starting to show signs of decay from dampness. We've got cracks, bits of rot induced by the sweating of the nails. There's more, some sort of decay going on there. A typical floor joist. These were, for the most part, logs that were felled, hewn flat on one side, all with kind of an 8-inch dimension to them, and laid down for the floor joists. They also, as in the second floor, run into a carrying beam down the center, which has support posts underneath it. They're currently made of lally columns. Another floor joist. Some of this stuff is, boy, be nice if it was in better condition. And some of this stuff is starting to look pretty rough. It's still bearing, so I guess that's good. But it's tough. It's tough to know what to do. I love old stuff. I don't think much of this. Oh well. Well, back outside. There's some stuff we have to deal with. But all in all, I'm pretty pleased with how much is here, and other than maybe the floor in the first floor of the store, how much of the stuff is still hanging on. Cornice looks pretty good. Most of the window frames look pretty good. There's a kind of a lot of decay in some of the window sills. They've really kind of gotten beat up and rounded. This is on the south side where the sun lays on, and these are clearly the worst. But there's hope for it, I think. Could stand a coat of paint. I'm sure you've caught on to that. That would go a long way. But we ought to probably take care of some of the moisture related problems. There's an issue here. The ramp's a nice feature, good for access. Flashing detail's kind of poor. It's kind of doing some damage, more damage than good at the moment. But if you're ever around in the summertime and in the fall, I think they have a Christmas program shop that open to the public, and you can look around and check out the old Waldron store. Thanks for watching. We'll see ya.